Hello, very beautiful, beloved soul friends. Welcome to another Conversations with Kristin, that beautiful time of your day where you explore the unconscious mind from the inside out. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for being here, and thank you for being exactly the miraculous, wondrous being that you are. Today, I'd like to explore forgiveness as an integrative technique. And so when I talk about integration, it's important to know that I'm not talking about consciousness, which is who you really are. We are consciousness. Consciousness is our self-essence within the experience, our conscious awareness observing our parts of consciousness within experience. And so integration has absolutely nothing to do with consciousness. Consciousness is already perfect, whole, and complete. But what happens sometimes is the neural wiring creating our uniquely individualized sense of self and styles of processing personal life experience don't have complete connections with one another. And then consciousness doesn't have a lot of room to be itself. And so integration is all about connecting different pieces of neural data. And we are not our neural data. So when we talk about integration, or when I talk about integration at least, it has nothing to do with integrating ourself. It has to do with integrating the data in our body so that we can be more of ourself. Does that make sense? So integration, talking about connecting pieces of neural data. And consciousness is already perfect, whole, and complete. But when we integrate our neural data, it gives our consciousness more wiggle room to be itself within our brain and body system. So our consciousness is our self-essence flowing through our neurobiology and experiencing life through that. So forgiveness, and this is a follow-up kind of to another video I made about the neuroscience of forgiveness. So if you haven't seen that, go ahead and pause this video, hop over to my little YouTube channel and search for the neuroscience of forgiveness. It's kind of a follow-up to that. So when we forgive something or someone, we are not forgiving something outside of us. Instead, forgiveness is about healing the cells of our body, because that's where the information is stored. And the information stored in here is helping us navigate through life. So forgiveness has nothing to do with forgiving other people or other situations or things outside of us. Instead, it's forgiving the cells of our body for holding on to pain that it doesn't need to hold on to. And this radical reframe of forgiveness can be really, really liberating, because how do you forgive something that's unforgivable? How do you forgive something that is too horrendous to even consider forgiving? We can know that forgiveness isn't about the stuff. It's not about the situation. It's not about the person. It's not about what happened. It's not about anything outside of us. It's only about the cells of our body. And so we can take the logic out of it, because it's not about that. It's not about something outside of us. It's about the energetic flow of well-being inside of us. Forgiveness is reclaiming authority within the energetic well-being of our neurobiological applications of consciousness. Forgiveness has nothing to do with stuff outside of us. It has to do with the energetic flow inside of us. So when we forgive something, it's a sense of acknowledgement and release. And the process of acknowledging and releasing creates new neural connections inside of us. So we've got all this neural data, and every moment of every day is rewiring the neural data inside of us, transmuting past data and creating new data. And so when we don't look at the past and we're just like, okay, I'm here and I'm going forward, I'm going forward, I'm going forward, I'm going forward, and we don't acknowledge anything that's back there, then there's unattunement, and we're just over here and we're not connected with that. And so maybe we'll be functional in the here, but there's parts of our consciousness that are trapped in past data that don't get to experience the fullness of the now. And our self-essence in the present and the potentials of unfoldings is actually limited and reduced, because there are parts of our consciousness trapped in neurobiological projections from those past experiences that we are not wanting to look at. And then our presence is reduced, our self-connection is reduced, our potential is reduced. The other end of this spectrum is only staying back there, and you're constantly reliving things, and you're just back here, and you're not totally up here, and you're not looking to the future. You can't look to the future because your future is just a collage of the past, and you're just trapped in this, and that's misattunement. And then you're just blended with the parts who are experiencing those projections, and there's no connection with you in the now. And so the goal is to be in this middle space of attunement, where we acknowledge it and then we look forward, and we acknowledge it and we look present, and we acknowledge it and we look here, and we acknowledge it and we look here, and we acknowledge it and we have hope for the future, and we acknowledge it and then we let it go and we come here. Because every time we observe it and then redirect ourselves to the here and now, and we observe it and we redirect ourselves to the here and now, we are activating that data and growing a new connection with the present moment. We are activating that data and we're growing a new neural connection with the present moment, so that the neural wiring housing that intel can integrate, and those past pains can resolve because they'll have neural connection with the here and the now. And this is really important because our entire sense of navigating self and life right here, right now, and in the infinite potentials to unfold entirely stems from unconscious memory system, including emotional memories. And so integrating past data helps us have more of a solidified sense of who we are here and now, and more resources inside of us to navigate through life's unfoldings. The stuff that's happened is how we're understanding life now. So healing that stuff makes life now better. Healing that stuff makes the potentials to come feel better. Because all of our perceptions of self and life here and now are being translated through this neural data. And if there's all this stuff back there that's not healed, then the translations are going to feel much more painful than is necessary. Forgiveness as an integrative tool. We're not talking about integrating parts of ourselves because we are consciousness. We're talking about integrating pieces of neural data so our consciousness has more wiggle room to be itself and fluidly flow. Forgiveness. Acknowledge, let it go. Because we're not forgiving the things that have happened. We're forgiving the cells inside of our body for holding on to something that it doesn't need to hold on to. When we can love ourselves enough to not let us hold on to something that causes us pain, we liberate ourselves. And liberation feels very good, soul friends. Trust me, liberation feels very, very good. And so no matter how unforgivable something may seem, we can still forgive it because we're not forgiving anything outside of ourselves. We're not forgiving other people for being XYZ unforgivable things. That's their karma. That's their business. We're forgiving the cells inside of our body for holding on to pain that it doesn't need to hold on to anymore. We're creating space to let go so we can be more of who we really are, because we are not the pain, we are not the experience. And every part of our consciousness deserves to feel that loving liberation. Every part of our consciousness deserves an opportunity to be here and now. Without the projections, without the distortions, without the limitations, without the reductions. So we don't want to look at the past and then look at the past and then look at the past and then look at the past. We don't want to do that. We don't ever need to go back to that. But we also don't want to move forward without acknowledging what has occurred. So it's important to have this space of acknowledge, come here, acknowledge, come here, acknowledge, come here, because that acknowledgement and then coming here grows new neural connections and liberates parts of consciousness. Because as long as there's disconnections or misconnections within neural data, parts of consciousness are trapped in implicit projections, unable to experience the fullness of the now or the fullness of who they really are. But once neural data connects with the now, parts come home to the now. Parts of consciousness unite and achieve healing liberation, loving transformation. It's a very good place to be. A very good place to be indeed. Forgiveness is a process of letting go, so that we can be more here and more now and more of who we really are. Forgiveness can help us integrate. It's a process of forgiving the cells of our body for holding on to pain that it doesn't need to hold on to. And again, you can check out my neuroscience of forgiveness for a little bit more insight on this topic. So thank you so much for joining me for this Conversations with Kristin. It is a blessed honor to connect with you.